I did The Maze Runner, and it was written by James Dashner. He also wrote the 13 reality series along with the Maze Runner trilogy. And he lives in Lights in the Rocky Mountains. To learn more about him, visit jamesdashner.com. Maze Runner is about a teenager named Thomas who gets sent to the maze, which is basically a humongous maze that has no apparent exit. He's the second to last person to be sent there, and the day after he arrives, a girl shows up, which has never happened. The girl is in a coma, and the girl is shocked into a sitting position, and she sucked in a huge breath. Her eyes snapped open, and she blinked, looking around at the crowd surrounding her. And you'd be able to freak out if you were surrounded by a bunch of people you didn't know. After she analyzes the crowd, she says everything is about to change, and then she goes back into her coma. Her right fist shot into the air. She remained staying rigid after she grew still, pointing toward the sky. Clutched in her hand was a wadded piece of paper. Then one of the other guys that was sent to the maze ran up to the girl to hide her fingers open to get the piece of paper. This is what it said. She's the last one, ever. If you want to know what happens next, you're going to have to get the book yourself.
Well, that's it out. What genre do you think that fits in? Fiction.
Science fiction.
Science fiction. Monkey.
Okay, I read The Nightmares, and the author is Dan Pavlaki. He lives in Brooklyn, New York. Genre is fiction. Two boys named Timothy and Stuart, they are best friends. Every night when they go to sleep, they have nightmares that come alive. They need help fast as they can. They try to go to sleep with nice dreams. Timothy and Stuart put everything out like nightmare pictures. They want this to stop. So Timothy and Stuart found out how to stop it and will wake up and then sleep for their lives.
It's House of Secrets by Columbus Mazzini, and the genre of fantasy because there are things that cannot happen in this book that cannot happen in real life. And this is it. My book starts out with Brendan, Cordelia, and Eleanor. They move into a creepy old house in San Francisco. They get all moved in, and a neighbor welcomes them, and she turns out to be the Wind Witch. Denver Kristoff's the old owner of the house, daughter. The Wind Witch was throwing Brendan, Cordelia, and Eleanor into the walls, and they were knocked out. 5 hours later, they were woken up, and their parents are gone. The Wind Witch is standing over all 3 of us, and she started mumbling words, and finally she said, "If you find the book, your parents will be set free. Until then, they will be suffering." They set up on their journey. They meet new people and new enemies in Denver Kristoff's books that he has written. As they make it through their terrible journey, new pains and doing selfish things are the only way they can get through the book. But they soon find out they can do other and better things to find their parents. Well, now I guess you will have to read the rest yourself and go on an amazing journey.
Austin.
I read Flawless by Sarah Shepard, and the author is very creative and puts great detail into her books. I am very fond of them. She writes many good books. And then I put realistic fiction because it felt for girls who is the best friend, and it could possibly happen. What would you do if your best friend went missing and they found her dead 2 years later and somebody knew everything about you and all your secrets? Well, this is what 4 girls named Hannah, Emily, Spencer, and Ira are dealing with, telling nobody anything he said to but each other. This person calls himself A, but he only texts and emails them. Nobody knows who they are, and if they tell the cops, well, let's just say it won't be good. These 4 girls are in high school and living completely different lives.
Because when Allie went missing, they split up and didn't ever talk. Now since they've been getting these texts, they've become much closer. Just when they thought they knew who A was, he overdosed himself and died. So who's really A? Well, I guess you'll have to find out yourself. And then, oh yeah, I'm not done. My quote is, I know everything about you, and if you dare tell anybody about me, I will ruin you all one by one. So watch what you say. Here I did Sealed with Kiss out of the Holly Hart section. It's by Beverly Lewis. Should I read the background now?
That'd be great.
Beverly Lewis has sold over 80 books for adults and children. Some of her books have received the Gold Book Award and one won a 2007 Christie Award, which I and it's fiction because the events and people are made up and probably won't happen. It's been 4 years since Holly's daddy left them. It had torn her and 8-year-old Carrie apart. Their mother just isn't as happy as she used to be. But just as soon as Holly had adjusted, her mom started dating again. That wouldn't be so bad if she was going out with a different man. His name is Mr. Tate. He's a stocky, bald man with a pushy, bossy, and controlling attitude. His sick kid Zach is constantly trailing around, sneezing and coughing all over the place. Holly knows he isn't the right man for a fun-loving, laid-back mom. He isn't right for their family. Then, bald Mr. Tate announces his plans to move Holly's family to the mountains to raise bees, away from their small ski resort village of Drexel Hills, away from her best friend Andy, and away from the charming Danny Myers. Holly knows she must do something. Can Holly convince her mother that Mr. Tate isn't right for their family, or will Holly end up as a beekeeper in the mountains, thousands of miles from the adorable, mature Danny Myers? And my selection is kind of long, it's longer than the book. Mom made small talk until I finally finished eating. Then Mr. Tate brought the white box over, setting it down in the middle of the table. I held my breath, certain there'd be a layer cake with white curly beads dancing around the edges and a miniature bride and groom smiling on the tip top. Slowly, he reached inside the box and lifted the plate up. This, he said, is honeycomb. I stared at the tiny cubicles of wax. Mr. Tate took a small portion off and gave it to Mom. One after another, we were served the waxy stuff heavy with honey. Next came a demonstration. Mr. Tate picked up a bite-sized piece and began to chew. He worked the honey out of the comb and spit out the wax. That's gross, said Carrie. Zach was getting the hang of it, however. It's good. Mom beamed down at Zach, putting her arm around him. It's good for you, she said. It's good for all of us. Which brings me to some exciting news. Mr. Tate sat down and directed his gaze to me. Your mother and I are planning to purchase some land north of here. Mom nodded. We spoke to a real estate broker this morning. North of here? I swallowed hard. The mountains were north of here. Mr. Tate continued. This 5-acre plot of land we're considering is a choice spot for a log home, and the perfect place for a bee farm, among many other things. Carrie's eyes widened. Bees make honey. We're going to have bees? Yes, we're going to become beekeepers and gather honey. And he paused, breathing deeply, getting touch with me. I stared at this man. Not only did he want to marry my mother, he wanted to ruin my life. I read the book Night World by L.J. Smith. The background about her is she has written about 25 books for young adults. She lived in the Bay Area of California, where she enjoys reading, hiking, traveling, and with her cat Susie. The genre of the book is fiction because it talks about wildlife hunters, witches, boys, and churches. My book is about a girl, and she's part vampire and part human. She goes to the night world, and then she goes to a person's. She lives in a person's house, and he started getting in a fight because she didn't believe her. After that, they were caught fighting before he started. They got mad because they banned him from the night world, and she became queen of the night world. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Her name is Jazz, and she was very mean to some people, and I started. And Hugh is a different character, and he got really stupid. The book is about apocalypse is drawing near, but overall powers can save the world from the pending doom, circle downgrade, and underground organization full of people and human members are searching for the four who can stop the violence. In the book that I read, it was called Without Tess, and Marcella Pixley wrote it. She also wrote the book Greek, and it's fiction because the girl believes in magic. And so, in the book Without Tess, everything is pretty normal, everything except the Tess. As you read, you will find out Tess is far from ordinary, like the fact that she believes in magic and can practice spells in her spare time, or the time she turned into a wolf and tried to get rid of Isabella, Lizzie's friend. Lizzie was Tess's sister. Lizzie used to believe in magic, but as she got older, she began to face reality. She knew Merlin wasn't really there, and she knew Pegasus weren't real. She knew all of this in the end. Lizzie did, but Tess didn't quite get it. People close to Tess tried to make her better. They tried pills, and they watched her very closely, but nothing seemed to work. Tess didn't eat much either. She was so skinny, so scrawny, skin and bones. She just didn't eat. Anorexia is a disease, and people die of it. I know, I tell them, but this was different. People with anorexia have messed up view of their body, right? Skinny girls who think they're fat and end up starving themselves, calorie counting, binge and purge. That kind of thing with Tess. It had nothing to do with wanting to be like a Barbie doll. It was rebellion. Eating was something that mortals did. Tess did not believe that she was mortal. She was going to live forever. She didn't need food to survive. It's ironic, says Dr. Kaplan gravely. Ironic, I felt? Good use of literary term, Kaplan. You must have done well in English class. What is irony, class? Does anyone know? Anyone? Little Sammy Kaplan in the front of the row. In the front row, raising his hand, hair pulled back in a ponytail over him. I know, call me, teacher. Irony is when there are two sisters. One believes she is mortal, and one believes she's not. The one who believes she is mortal lives until she's 19. The one who believes she is not dies before her 12th birthday. Her casket's so tiny, when they carry her into the graveyard, it looks like they're burying a toddler. A dear teacher is irony. I laugh hard. Tears well up in my eyes and roll down my cheeks. I slap my knee and wipe away the tears. Oh, that is funny. So, are people that are close to Tess going to make it without her?
Title is The Hunger Games. Author is Suzanne Collins. Background note about the author. She has wrote picture books, Catching Fire and Mockingjay. The genre and why it might fit it. Because it's fantasy, because there's a lot of fake programming during the Hunger Games. And throughout the whole movie and book, not much realistic. In the beginning is the reaping for the 74th Hunger Games, where 2 tribunes get picked to participate in the Hunger Games. Katniss' sister gets picked, but Katniss doesn't let her participate, so she volunteered as tribute. Peeta Mellark is the second tribute, so they shall battle for their lives. They go through special training, and Katniss does really good, and Peeta does okay. Their mentor Haymitch has already won the Hunger Games and gives them advice. Peeta has a crush on Katniss, and it shows during the game. Katniss was kind of in love with Peeta, but in order to make it out alive, she had to act in love with him. Katniss wasn't sure if she was in love with her longtime friend Gale, but Gale liked her. After they killed Cato, the Capitol announced that only one can win, so they got deadly berries and almost ate them until the Capitol announced that they both won. Peeta almost didn't make it out alive because Cato slashed Peeta with his sword, but once they got on the plane, the doctors fixed his leg. And here's my quote. I spew the berries from my mouth, wiping my tongue with the end of my shirt, making sure no more juice remains. Peeta pulls me to the lake where we both flush our mouths with water and then collapse into each other's arms.
Read about a girl who takes friend from from his own brother. Well, do I got a book for you? It's called Echo. There's more than one book, but this is the second one. This is all I've read. The author's name is Allison Newell. She has written a bunch of more books, but she lives in Beach, California, and this is the part. Here, I roll to a stop, spring to my feet, and take a quick look around. I pleased to find the lane. I've landed not far from the mine. It's the first time I've been able to nail it like that. The first time I've been able to declare the point of entry and actually put myself there. A good, no doubt. I hope more will follow. I stay crouched below the knee, slightly bent, hand flex ready, steadying one moment, just adjust to the rhythm of the ground, rumbling beneath me and flowing string of coming quick. Thankfully, there instead lessons take each time. Good number two, I'll take what I can get. A person of shots drives from the mine. The captives, apparently no longer enthralled by the riches, are crowding the mouth of the shaft and attempting to break free. The bodies struggling against the armed undead guards who push hard against them and shove them back in. My gaze darts among them, searching for Kay, but not seeing him anywhere. I slip my thumb into my fist and advance. Despite the odds stacking against me, despite there being only one of me and loads of them, I find my breath, a strange sense of calm without a trace of fear to be found. This is the moment that when the theory and practice finally communicate after months of chasing and waiting. This is my chance to use all of the skills Poma has taught me. This is when I fulfill my destiny, do what I was born to do, or die trying.